Bike racing is a brutal but elegant sport. Men race for the battle against distance, the mountains, and competition. They endure because they possess a desire to challenge their hearts, their minds, and their souls.
I'm Greg LeMond. This is race day.
Every racer here is full of hope and expectations.
I'm just ready to get started, get the day underway.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I'm stoked, it'll be good.
Been looking forward to it all year.
But in a few miles, the mountains are going to change it all to
Pain.
Suffering. Pain and suffering.
A lot.
I hear there's no guardrails and things like that.
You can't breathe. And your brain, you start to see spots.
And just hope my wheels don't collapse.
It's hell. If we didn't like pain and suffering, we wouldn't be bike riders.
Climbing, altitude, and suffering. They call the Saturn Cycling Classic the toughest one-day race in the world.
This is a race of attrition. Seven top professional bicycle racers have gathered in downtown Boulder, Colorado for the start of an event that will test like no other. 16 teams, all American, are represented. The field rolls gently away from the Boulder Theater. A new Saturn view will be awarded to the winner, but all thoughts now are directed towards the unmatched challenges ahead. The course is 140 miles long with 7 major climbs. 2 elements, super high altitude and dirt road descents, conspire to make this race brutal. Altitude makes it almost impossible to breathe or recover from hard efforts. Distance and rough roads ravage the body and mind. Colorado boys love this race. Ric Grewal knows intimately what lies ahead. With a flip of a paddle, the race officially begins. The immediate goal for team leaders is to stay relaxed, avoid crashes, make sure the equipment feels right, and above all, be patient. In a long race, timing the attacks is crucial. It's nearly impossible to ride away from the start and stay ahead until the end. Defending champion Jonathan Vaughters wears number 1 and sits comfortably in the middle of the pack. Scott Moninger is a Colorado legend. His knowledge of these mountains and equipment won him this race 2 years ago. Early on, there's time to socialize. Vaughters has a hug and kind words for his longtime racing buddy Chris Wary, who lost his father to leukemia just 3 days before the race.
We don't have any pressure on Chris because obviously it's a situation that hopefully you don't have to go through too many times in your life.
At the first turn, 15 racers break away. All the top teams are represented. These are the foot soldiers sent ahead to set pace, while the generals roll along smoothly, shoulder to shoulder, in a tight-knit formation that depends on every rider pedaling evenly and predictably. The grim awareness of the tests ahead reveals itself in the faces. The temperature is rising, and the pace isn't fast. Up ahead, the first breakaway group moves quickly and builds a significant lead, 6 minutes 45 seconds. Are the big dogs concerned? What are their thoughts? First up, Scott Moninger.
Cold Creek Canyon Climb in the early stages of the race are where I try to play kind of a conservative race. That's the first third of the race in my mind, and that's where I'm really just trying to stay hydrated, stay well fed, just kind of keep an eye on some of the main competitors, and stay out of trouble.
Jonathan Vaughters is a veteran of 4 Tours de France.
For a rider who's going to be extremely watched like myself is just conserve. There's no point in attacking because you'll be immediately followed by all the other race favorites, so you'll just be wasting your energy while they're still conserving theirs.
Ahead in the breakaway, many are already suffering. The dry summer air of Colorado is debilitating. Every pro knows the importance of staying hydrated, but when you're working this hard, it's tough to find the time to drink. And even when you do, it's not enough. Handlebar and Grill's Michael Carter, one of Vaughters' key teammates, attacks the breakaway. And the chasers top Wonder View and drop into a 50-mile-per-hour tuck. A momentary break from all the climbing, but concentration must be razor sharp. Carter has raced all 4 major European tours, and he's maintaining a high tempo and opening a gap.
Michael Carter's still up about a minute. He started racing in '82. He has ridden the Giro Italia. He's a fabulous climber, small guy, very light, good power to weight ratio.
Mike Carter has his eyes squarely on the $5,000 prize offered to the first rider to reach Blackhawk. Back in the first group, his teammate Alexi Grewal is concerned that team leader Jonathan Vaughters has fallen far behind. Mike Carter takes the checkered flag. Here's the catch. To keep the cash, he's got to finish. There's 100 miles to go. Back in the pack, everyone feels the pain. Racing legends Davis Finney, Andy Hampston, and Greg LeMond know all about Colorado racing. These 3 cut their teeth in the legendary Coors Classic, a multiple-day race that rivaled the major tours of Europe. Today, these men are thrilled to see a revival of epic Colorado racing. The chase group sprints, and Soren Peterson of Saturn grabs second, followed by Phil Zajac of Mercury. Now they climb towards Oh My God Road, which tops at 9,355 feet. The name is apropos not for the ascent, but for what follows over the top.
Oh my God, climb looks better than I thought, but it doesn't look loose. Looks like it's going to be real good, fast ascending.
Carter has lost his advantage and is about to be recaptured by a small group. Behind for the moment, Grewal isn't worried. He's a professional mountain bike racer who loves the dirt.
You see? I've got an advantage, boys. We're hitting the dirt soon.
Bike racing is all about attitude, not letting little things or big things bother you. It's time to move forward.
Coming out of Central City on Oh My God Road is the first point in the race where a true contender is going to start to really push himself. It's the first time where you really start to feel your legs, feel your lungs. So it's sort of the first part in the race where you're going to feel the sensations. Am I on a winning day, or am I on a day where I'm kind of struggling?
Mercury teammates Moninger and Worry have ridden this climb. Worry knows what to expect.
When you're climbing up to Oh My God Road, your body's really starting to sort of lube up. You're getting into the race, your muscles are starting to work. You've done enough climbing that you're getting a good feeling for how you're going to go for the rest of the day.
This race is a deadly recipe of distance, heat, and altitude. It's been a rough and eventful first 50 miles. The hardest sections of the Saturn Classic are still ahead. Optimism still reigns, but not for long. Guanella Pass looms. Georgetown, Colorado, elevation 8,500 feet, almost halfway through the toughest one-day bicycle race in America, but the superstars have yet to emerge. The lead group of 8 riders enters Georgetown. The field, which includes both former champions, stands 845 back. They've completed 65 miles in one major descent. The racers know this is the crucial section of the course where the race will be defined. Big changes are developing, and most racers won't survive this hour. The field approaches the first feed zone. Chris Wary knows how important this section is.
From Idaho Springs up to Georgetown, it is a really tactical part of the race. Not only do you have to refuel your body, there's a feed zone there, but it's a chance for us to send riders up the road, and we forced Jonathan Vaughters to chase hard. And it gives us a chance to sit back and relax and just sort of play off the other riders leading up to the base of Guanella.
The front runners have reached the shoulder of the toughest test of the day. The Mercury team is solid at the front with Jesus Zarate of Mexico and Phil Zajac standing 1-2. Meanwhile, Weary has moved quietly forward while the others pause to eat and drink. The move is called Dine and Dash, and it works. Suddenly, he's well ahead of the group that includes the 2 dangerous contenders. Wary is away and is chasing the leaders. Vaughters is distracted. He's missed an all-important mid-race meal, and a teammate has abandoned.
Everything worked out pretty well. I drove the brake for a while. You know, my car took off and got the midpoint frame, and then is in that front group, and that guy can climb. And Vaughters is right there too, so, you know, I did my job.
But Mercury has done theirs. They've isolated Vaughters 8 minutes down, and he'll have to chase alone. And up front, Zarate looks great.
Jesus is 27. He's ridden with the team for a few years. He's very low-key, gets along well with everybody. Actually, you get him behind a microphone and some music behind him, he sings quite well.
Zarate and Zaitchik climb beautifully, undaunted by the rough pavement and high altitude. A third Mercury racer, Weary, is up and out of the saddle and moving forward. It's crunch time. Vaughters reaches the base of the climb. He knows what he needs to do.
Guanella Pass is 100% athletic. It is your ability. There's no real tactic. It's just simply riding as hard and as fast as you can. It's 1 hour at maximum effort. It's, as my French director would say, it's the legs.
Yes, it's the legs. The fast cadence of Vaughters versus the steady power of Moninger, who feels confident.
I think Vaughters will certainly be a factor in this race, but I don't know if he's really in the right frame of mind to win this race. I think he's probably physically capable to do it, but whether or not he'll have the full team support, I foresee our team having 2 or 3 riders, so I think he may have to settle for something other than first place.
Wheel to wheel. Heart versus heart. Bike racing is a battle of willpower and reputations. And now it's personal. A duel at 11,000 feet. Mano a mano. And this time, for the moment, Vaughters prevails. His tempo is simply too great for Moninger, who loses first an inch, then a foot, then a yard. Moninger is left behind to suffer alone. The first champion of this race has cracked, and he will face the mountain by himself. Up ahead, Weary and Navigator's Burke Swindlehurst continue to power forward, now solid in 3rd and 4th places. Zarate approaches the summit. He'll be the first to switch to his mountain bike.
Weary at about another 2 minutes behind. Jonathan Vaughters has blown the peloton apart and is chasing hard.
Vaughters is gaining ground fast while Zarate makes the switch from the 17-pound road bike to 24-pound mountain bike. This is a defining feature of the Saturn Classic. You'll never ever see this in a European road race. Vaughters charges. He's erased all but a couple minutes of what once was a 9-minute deficit. Zaitchik switches. This Guanella Pass climb carries racers to a place that they've never been. And now Vaughters approaches for the bike change. He's quick onto his mountain bike, pushing forward, coming back. Weary has made his way to the bike change.
Come on. Scotty.
But finds that he has a major problem.
Put it in.
Vaughters is on the way down, picking up speed. And a frustrated Weary is finally away. Swindlehurst, then Moninger are next to summit. Moninger has decided to ride a narrow-tire crossbike down the hill. Team support is a crucial element of the Classic, and mistakes can be costly.
We accidentally put in the wrong wheel, and at the last minute we had to change it.
Scott's in the next group. Vaughters is the next guy behind you, going hard.
This is where the Saturn Classic gets crazy. The road surface is rough, either worn pavement or bumpy, unpredictable dirt.
Flat tire.
Dust is flying. Speeds approach 50 miles per hour. There are crashes, flat tires, chaos. Scott Moninger's decision to not use a mountain bike is costly. He's losing time. Mercury sets up at the bottom to switch its riders back to road machines. There is no room for error. Mercury got Zarate away, but Swindlehurst and Vaughters are charging hard. Once again, Chris Weary is having problems. He's got a rear flat tire, and he's unable to resume on his road bike. Vaughters should only be so lucky. His road bike is nowhere in sight. This is a disaster. All day he has found himself alone or surrounded by the Mercury team's best. Moninger is behind. Weary is flatted. Bad luck has struck. Racing luck. The defending champion is in trouble. Vaughters is looking for a bike.
No bike.
50 miles from the finish line, Jonathan Vaughters has been forced to ride 5 miles on his mountain bike because his team vehicle is nowhere to be found. He's been given a spare bike by the Navigators team.
Vaughters missed he's still waiting for his bike change, and that gives us a chance for Scott to gain back into the race.
Unfortunately, a second switch will be necessary. Vaughters needs his own bike.
Well, I think what happened to Jonathan Vaughters without his team, his road bike there at the exchange, he was panicking, and rightfully so. He had a dual suspension bike that was not going fast.
6 riders have made it over the mountain, and Vaughters finds himself chasing once again. 107 racers started in Boulder. Mike Carter won the Blackhawk Sprint. It's been a race of attrition. Mercury sprung a surprise in the feed zone as Weary slipped by Vaughters. Mercury Zarate led the way up Guanella Pass. Moninger lost a heavyweight battle. Navigators got Burke Swindlehurst into the front group. Soren Peterson was Saturn's lone hope. As Prime Alliance's Michael Creed weathered 2 flat tires. War stories abound.
My mountain bike went down the road to stay with Jonathan, so I didn't get one. Right. And it just beat me to a pulp.
Went for a couple flat tires. It might have been a little better, but
2 major climbs remain. Victory should be determined on Hoosier Pass. The 7-man lead group has entered the windswept crossing of South Park. This is the unknown. Mercury has 4 in the lead group, exactly as planned.
I think the final stretch along 285 is where our team will probably have the advantage over with numbers. You know, I think for sure myself, Chris Weary, and maybe 1 or 2 other riders from our team will be there.
Last year, Vaughters led a group of 5 across South Park. This year, he's there again.
Most of the time, the strongest rider will win on a course this difficult. However, there still is an element of team tactics, and there's always an element of luck.
Team tactics? The odds are against him. Luck? He's had plenty of it, all bad. Behind, 3 racers come forward, fighting a crosswind. Chris Weary continues to have bike problems. He can't use his biggest gear, and he may need it into Breckenridge. Prime Alliance's Michael Creed seizes the opportunity to latch on to the front group. He's joined by Walker Ferguson and Saturn's Soren Peterson, who wins the Blackhawk Sprint if he finishes. The Saturn Classic is a highly coveted victory, especially for the homegrown boys.
To win a race that has this high of a media profile, that has this much enthusiasm behind it in Colorado as a Colorado native is something very special.
Soren Peterson of Saturn not only catches the front group, but rolls right by and moves into a solo lead. This man has been in every breakaway all day and now leads with less than 30 miles to go. Mercury, with 4 racers in the front group, immediately responds. Chris Weary rolls quickly to Peterson's wheel, and now there are 2 in front. But the valiant Peterson has nothing left in his tank.
I can't do anything. I can just hang on here. I'm cramping totally.
Weary, despite mechanical troubles on both top and bottom of Guanella, looks strong. He quickly puts 30 seconds on the chase. Today, he rides for more than personal or team glory.
It's been a very tough week for me. My dad supported me through my entire career, and he would not want me to do anything less than to race my bike this weekend. And I think that he has gone to a place where he can get a better view of every race I ever do, because we're all over the place, all over the world, and I know he loves to watch. So I know he'll be there watching.
Chris Weary has been racing his bicycle on the roads of Colorado for 15 years. His family has often been there to cheer him on. Today they're at the finish line, receiving news that he's in the lead, part of a two-man group with 15 miles to go. The chasers have now fallen back, riding in the shadow of Scott Moninger, whose job has become to make sure that neither Vaughters nor anyone can bridge across to his teammate. "4 miles from the top of Hoosier Pass, Weary, wearing his father's wedding ring around his neck, is pedaling strong as Breckenridge brings him home.
Just keep it together. Your family's waiting for you at the finish.
Greatness is not measured by what you obtain, but by what you overcome.
We're going to see the riders for the first time. Please stand back.
I doubted myself 1,000 times today, and I just kept getting confirmation that I was going to win. Every time I asked myself for a little more, it was always there.
Today was his day, and I'm glad that he won.
It was time for Chris. He's a very deserving winner. He rode a great race.
I can't think of too many other guys I'd rather have beat me than Chris.
It was hard not to cry at the finish. It was very emotional.
Well, there were 4 of us in the car coming down behind Chris on the way in, and I mean, we're dads, we've got families, and we were all in tears. I mean, it was the most emotional victory I've seen in a bike race. You know, there isn't a more deserving guy out there.
Chris Weary challenged the Colorado mountains that shaped his talent and was carried home today by the strength of a family's love.